Hey guys, it's Allison and Elisha, A&E, here with you. Again, we're a pretty joined team, aren't we? We do everything together right now, so here we are. If you get one of us, you get both. So we're going to be sharing a lesson with you. Today we're going to talk about one of Elisha's favorite stories.
It's actually my only favorite.
Your only favorite. Okay, would you like to tell him what it is?
Nehemiah,
or sometimes we say Nehemiah. The one that he watches says Nehemiah, which is probably correct. So we're going to talk about Nehemiah. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Have you ever gotten bad news? We all have, right? Have you ever gotten bad news, Elisha? Or heard something that made you sad?
Yeah.
Maybe you heard that a city or a home was destroyed by a flood or fire or an earthquake.
Yeah, I remember that school thing.
Yeah, our school had a flood in the parking lot this week, didn't it?
Fire.
Oh yeah, and
And
their
the
school had a
flood.
small fire, but they weren't destroyed, thankfully.
Yep, and was anything destroyed at the school?
Oh, the fire beside the school at that house, is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that was destroyed. That made us sad to see that, didn't it?
Yep.
Or you might hear that children don't have enough food to eat or a place to live. That is sad. That's so sad.
Yeah, but I've never heard that.
You've never heard
No.
that? You might hear that there are people who don't know about Jesus and there's nobody to tell them. Is that sad?
Yeah?
Yeah, or maybe your neighbor or someone had to go to the hospital because they're sick. Or maybe your dad lost his job. Or your friend's dad lost his job. Or somebody lost their dog. Really sad, isn't it?
Yeah. But why the dad was stopped if I'm good in case you want to play him when he's at work?
Oh, if your dad loses his job, you can play with it. You don't get to play with him when he's at work.
No,
well,
you can play with him.
Yeah, but he might need to pay for the toys that you play with too.
Oh.
So that could be a problem. So we feel sad or maybe scared or angry when we hear things like that. And our story today is about a man named Nehemiah. Now, while I tell you this story, Elisha's going to be over here building this wall.
Yeah.
So
It's all Jerusalem and it got destroyed. Then Nehemiah rebuilt it. But the people tried to stop him and his end is broke. But that didn't happen. And they died.
Yeah. So we're going to talk
His name
about
was Nehemiah.
Nehemiah. He heard some really bad news, didn't he?
Yeah.
He heard that the Jews in Jerusalem.
Yeah, his brother Hanani. I bet you didn't know his brother was named Hanani or that he had a brother. Blah, 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 blah.
You don't think that people know that? They might know that.
No.
You don't think I know that?
Doing 4. And I bet you didn't know the real name of his brother. And I bet you didn't know he had a brother. And his brother's name was Hanani.
Now we all know that. He had a brother
Yeah.
named Hanani. Nehemiah heard that the Jews in Jerusalem were in big trouble.
Yep, and his brother Hanani told him the Jews.
Yeah, his brother told him that. Okay. And the walls of the city were broken down.
Yeah, and his gate had been
And
burned.
the gates were burned. That's right. Can you show
And
them?
they were being run through the sword.
Yeah, so Nehemiah was
Dead.
concerned and sad.
And he worked for King Xerxes with Esther. Unfortunately, Nehemiah was after Esther.
So why would he be sad because the walls are torn down? What was the purpose of the walls?
Because that's where some people was, and they had to go taken captive and get run through the sword.
Yeah, the walls protected them, didn't they? And kept them safe. They didn't let their enemies in.
Yeah.
So when Nehemiah...
After they weren't going to God at Jeremiah's time, then Daniel and the fiery furnace was then Nehemiah.
Okay, let's pause. You work on building your wall while
Okay.
Mommy keeps telling the story, okay?
Okay.
So when Nehemiah heard this news, he was sad and maybe scared and angry like we feel when we hear bad news, but that didn't stop him. He was going to help, right?
Yeah.
So Elisha's building this wall. He didn't know what he could do. he cried. Do you ever cry when you get scared or
Yeah,
sad?
I have.
Yeah. But he knew he needed to do more than cry. So he prayed and fasted. We've just talked about fasting at our church. Fasting is when you give up food or you give up something to show God that you
Mommy,
are serious about your prayers.
When I was talking about Nehemiah, I was actually doing facts.
Okay, that was facts. So Nehemiah prayed and fasted that God would help him to help the people. So here's Elisha's showing us how you build this wall. Nehemiah knew it wouldn't be easy.
Actually, I'm taking 2 blocks away.
Okay. He didn't know how he'd be able to help because he didn't know if it would work with his job. Nehemiah, what was his job, Elisha?
Working for King Joseph.
Yeah, he was a
With
cupbearer.
Esther.
That's right, you said that.
Yeah,
He
just
was-
like Joseph, he was a cupbearer. From
He
the
was a
cupbearer
cupbearer.
of Joseph.
What does
He
a
was just like that.
What does a cupbearer do?
He gives juice to the one he serves.
Okay, and keeps his food and drink safe, right?
Yep.
And food and drink is pretty important. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
king probably wouldn't want to lose the person who guarded his food and drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay. One day while working with the king noticed that Nehemiah was sad. He asked him what was wrong. Nehemiah was afraid, but he told the king. And so the king asked him what he was going to do about it. And Nehemiah said, if you would let me, and you've been pleased with my work, I would like to go help rebuild it. And did the king let him do that, Elisha?
Yes.
Yes. And he also asked the king if he would write letters to the governors to see if he could pass through their land, and to the keeper of the king's forest to see if he could have timber for the wall and the gates, right?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
So he went to Jerusalem and he talked the people there into helping him rebuild. They started rebuilding, and who found out about it, Elisha?
Sanballat.
Their
And
enemies, right?
Tobiah.
And they were their enemies, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
what did they do?
They tried to stop them.
Come back over here so
Yeah.
I can.
They tried to stop
them.
them
How did they try to stop them?
by killing them.
Oh, and they made fun of them. What did they say when they made fun of them? They said, if what climbed up on the wall? A fox?
No, even a fox could not go with it. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah,
And
they
then
said,
Nehemiah prayed that they were being mocked. And they got one through this, and their mocking fell back on their own heads.
yeah, it came
Like
back
this
at them, didn't it? What they
Yeah,
tried
like
to
this
do
said.
to stop it came back at them. They said that there was too much damage. They'd never be able to rebuild the walls. But did Nehemiah stop?
No.
No, and his people helped. Even women and children helped. Even though some of the men didn't do their part. But the women and children helped. They worked side by side all around the city. Like Elisha's rebuilding these walls here. They worked to rebuild the walls. They, the priests and goldsmiths and perfume makers, rulers and sons and daughters and countrymen and servants and guards, they worked with all their hearts. And when the enemies heard about it, they became angry. They came to the wall. So look at Elisha's wall here. And they said, if a fox climbed on that wall, it would break it down.
No. If a fox could knock over a pile of stones.
Yeah, it said it would break down their walls of stone.
No,
But-
a pile of stones.
And they
Not a
saw
wall
it
stone.
halfway built, and they became even angrier. But Nehemiah just posted guards, didn't he? Do you
Yep.
want to put some guards up there?
Yep. Yep. When the attack was coming, Nehemiah decided to guard the wall with guards.
Okay.
And when Tobiah was talking to Sanballat about it, he said, "Call off the attack." And
Yeah.
then he said, "No, it's time when the sun is in the eye." Like, ah!
Okay. And the workers got tired. Are you tired of building this wall?
Yeah.
They said, we can't even do this anymore. There's too much damage, and our enemies are threatening to kill us. But what did Nehemiah do?
He rebuilded the wall.
Yeah, he just gave them more guards. And he said, and this is important to us today, he said, remember the Lord who is great and awesome, and fight for your brothers, your sons and daughters, your wives and your homes. So they kept fighting. They wore their swords at their sides and worked, and they finished the wall in 52 days. They did not give up or quit. So what can we learn from Nehemiah that we can do in a bad situation? We sometimes have bad situations.
And then after they completed the wall, they entered the mighty gates and they celebrated for their new home.
Yes.
250 returned.
250?
Yep. 250. I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
And 700,000 musicians and 225 servants.
Wow. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know those numbers. So we, in a bad situation, what is one thing we can do, Elisha, in a bad situation?
Pray.
Pray and fast. That's right.
Yep, and now I'm going to show you how the wall was destroyed.
Okay. Now, we can also tell others and ask for help. Did you know that?
No.
You can say, I need help with this wall that's destroyed. We can get involved. So telling others, Nehemiah told the king about the problem and asked if he could help. He got others involved by going to the city and asking them to help, right? So when we are doing something, we can ask other people to help. And we recently moved into a new house, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we knew that we couldn't carry all those heavy boxes and furniture by ourselves, so we asked people to help, didn't we? And that helped us in a tough situation.
Even someone I didn't know, but he knowed me. I mean,
We can organize.
that's crazy.
We can organize by telling people what we need them to do and making sure that it's done in order. And we don't quit when things get hard. And right now, as parents, we are finding ourselves in situations where we have to do things to fight for you guys. When he said to fight for your sons and daughters and your wives and your homes, we have to let people know that we believe in God and that we want him to be a part of your future. And we can do that by praying and fasting and by telling other people what we need to do and asking people to help and organizing ways that we can do it. So you may find yourself sometime in a bad situation that makes you feel sad or angry or scared. And these are some things that you can do to help you.
And I'm building the wall back.
And he's building the wall back.
After I showed you how it was destroyed. I mean, the gates have been burned.
Yeah.
And I didn't even build the gates. What was I thinking?
So if you have some blocks at your house, we have Jenga. You may have something. Why don't you get those out sometime and pretend you're building the wall, rebuilding the wall, and think about this story. And we're going to close with prayer. Would you like to pray, Elisha?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Lord, for all the great things you have done for us and the other people in the world and for us. And thank you for all the good things you have done.
Help us.
And help us to believe in you, just as John 3:16 says.
Amen. Good job. Thank you. We will see you guys soon. Bye. Say thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.